We have a lot more news to review. We'll look at the newspapers. Already I have the Ghanaian Times. Mamavi is here with some of your messages, but also with the daily graphic.
Yeah.
Good morning to you, Mamavi. How are you?
Good morning. You've been missing. I'm good. How are you?
I'm good.
Yeah? 100%?
Not there yet.
Yeah?
Yeah,
well, we prayed for you.
Yeah, sure.
I asked our viewers to pray for you. So thank you, everybody that did the praying, because Roland is here.
Yeah.
We thank God for your life.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, and I thought that, now that you're back, there's a conversation that I was shelving. Today's 24th January, and January is really, really long.
Yeah. It's still just when 20...
We're still in January.
22nd.
Yeah. We're not sure if this is the week that a good number of us will be paid. So I was hoping that you could help us with some tips. Because you got a 13th month salary, did you?
No, I did not.
Okay, so we're in the same soup.
Yeah.
So we've got to survive. So think about it. Maybe tomorrow we can have that conversation. How do we survive till the end of January? Yeah. It's hard.
Yeah, despite all the education we try to come about with Mr. Boache, Mr.
It is not easy, eh? It is not easy. The whole idea is, how do you resist borrowing to survive the rest of the days in January?
Yeah.
That's the hard question.
I'll say that you should try and resist not to borrow.
Yeah, so what do you do? In place of that, what do you do?
Well, if you're in your current state, then there's nothing you can do than borrow. But I guess on hindsight, you should have planned enough to make sure that you...
Well, and we did. I think that we did. But January is...
Yeah, I know.
Wow.
And there are a lot of school fees coming up.
How did it get so long?
Not only school fees of your what, but also sometimes you have to pay your own fees.
Exactly,
so,
exactly.
There are lots of expenditure around this time.
Yeah.
And because a lot of your contemporaries and friends and people are broke, they also tend to approach you sometimes. So it puts you in a certain...
So listen, guys, let's help ourselves. I think one of the key things is, if you've been buying water and around your office, there's water in the dispenser, kind of, then you might want to be keeping the 1 cedi, 1 cedi 50 pesos, 2 cedis, and use that water in the office. If you're fortunate to work in the place, and I used to work in a place where you would have breakfast, as in there's the things to make breakfast. Yeah. So if you're fortunate enough to work in an environment like that, then you know that at least you can save what you would have used to buy food in the morning.
Everybody will see that your lifestyle has changed. That you're not stealing from the office.
Oh no, you're not stealing. It's food that is available.
If
sharing. You can. So send me some WhatsApp messages. We're all in the same pot, and we want to survive. We don't want to borrow. It's just a few days more to the end of January, but it is, however, very long. I
guess then the preamble has to be: how are you coping with the times? Are you borrowing?
Okay.
Have you gone to a friend to go borrow some money, or how have you been coping throughout, and how do you intend to cope the remaining days of the month? 22nd, 30 days, it's 31 days, and then we're off.
Yeah, it is. So send us a WhatsApp message or a regular SMS message. Roland, here's one for you. Thank God you're back. Your show is one of the best breakfast shows. So Eric Kojo Mensah, who is in Akachi, is thanking God that you're back.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
All right. So we'll go back to the messages, but let's do the newspapers. We'll start off with the Daily Graphic newspaper. Front page of the Graphic. Government to retool police service. Story on page 3, but extensively also well delivered in our AM News. Auditor General orders probe of GBC. Documentary on election petition to be screened today. Cash for seat committee extend sitting. Were they secretly meeting the expatriates? That's what we heard sometime yesterday. But let's go to page 16 in the Daily Graphic news.
But the expatriates businessmen, I think they have the right to say that we don't want to meet on camera. We don't want to meet.
What? But shouldn't somebody communicate that to us? Because they said they were going to sit in the open. I get your point. Yeah. So if something has changed, make we know. So in this is page 16 in the Graphic. Says the Auditor General has called for investigations to be conducted into how and why the board and management of the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation entered into a consent judgment with Buy Media Limited that cost the state 8.45 million Ghana cedis without knowledge of the Attorney General. So the corporation is in another claim is to pay $1.1 million to Media General, owners of TV3, for failing to pay the annual fee for the right to broadcast the UEFA Champions League and the UEFA Europa League for 2012-2013 and 2013-2014.
They had an agreement with the station to do
No wonder they were looking for TV license and they were such in a hurry to set up courts. Yeah. So a yet to be released Auditor General's report on the liabilities of ministries, departments and agencies as of December 2016 showed that the Auditor General reviewed the transactions relating to the government's indebtedness to GBC and established that the national broadcaster failed to provide the internal investigative report on the transactions. There's more to the story by Suleiman Mustafa in Accra. You've got to read it. It gives us some good insight into the happenings at GBC. Yeah.
A lot of things we can read into.
Yeah. So the Cash for Seats Committee, the 5-member ad hoc committee of Parliament investigating the Cash for Seats saga, has been given a 1-week extension to complete its work and present its report to Parliament for consideration. So the committee was expected to present its report to the House yesterday, but was unable to do so because of its inability to complete its work on the scheduled dates. So failed appearance, expatriate businesses last Tuesday, January 16, failed to appear before the committee, compelling it to cut short its work prior to the adjournment of the sitting, and it gives you a background of everything that has happened. I was just looking for a secret sitting or not, but I'm not sure I've spotted that yet. But you can grab the paper and read all about it. Let's see what other thing is on the front page of the paper that we can take a look at. Let's see what's making the center spread of the Daily Graphic newspaper, and then we'll quickly do the back page and move on to the Ghanaian Times. So in the center spread, reaping the maximum benefit of exercise, the time-honored approach. Oh, so exercises. City inspectors save the city jangle. Plus other stories. But on the back page of the graphic, you'd find this: army worm will fester following favorable weather. That's all in quotes. Story says that the country is likely to battle the fall armyworm disease for long because of the favorable weather conditions for its propagation in Ghana. And the Director of Pest and Diseases Management at the Ministry of Agriculture, Ebenezer Abuaje, is giving a lot more details on the back page of the paper. Also, GCAA, that's the Ghana Civil Aviation Authority, to demolish structures within security zone. All plus more in the Daily Graphic newspaper of today, Roland Walker.
Okay, so let's go and take a look at the Ghanaian Times. It has on the front page, high-rise buildings to go down. As we always do in Ghana, we wait for us to flout the regulations, make sure that we consolidate our positions after flouting the regulations. Then perhaps when there's a regime change, we try to do something about it. I remember back in the 90s, in the Rawlings era, when there was one of those buildings around the airport area that was pulled down. A lot of political meanings were read into it. Years down the line, we're back to the same thing. But what I always say is that when you travel to other international airports, you see high-rise buildings around the airport. Why is it that in ours, you can have high-rise buildings too? So it's something we have to. It's a protecting airport security zone. So you have a picture there of the Minister for Aviation, Madam Cecilia Dapa. The story is on page 17 of the paper, and it appropriately reads that the Ministry of Aviation is to seek a court order to demolish high-rise buildings and other developments springing up in and around the airport security zone at East Legon, East Airport in Accra. And this is to prevent interruptions to transmissions of very high frequency omnidirectional radio range, short range. Well, I don't think it's on. Let's go to the best of the developing world and see how they do it, because they have high-rise buildings around the airport. So now we have President Onesi Laliman. The story on page 16 of the paper says that the Wa Polytechnic is expected to be, or has been named after him, and we know that it's been 20 years since he passed on, and so we'll be having a lot of events to mark 20 years of the passing on of a former president of the Third Republic of Ghana. Kwabenya police attack, for all the things that have been happening with the police and the incessant attacks sporadically over the period on security and police personnel. We're told that in an effort to make sure that we get the right suspect and also start the investigations following the killing of that police officer at the Kwabenya station, 19 out of the 78 suspects rounded up have been granted bail. And that story is on page 15 of the paper as well. But let's go to the back page. It's a district committees against illegal mining launched in the Eastern region. And on the back page of the Ghanaian Times, you have a picture there of John Peter Amewu, who is the Minister of Lands and Natural Resources. And it says the fight against illegal mining was taking a step higher yesterday when the Inter-Ministerial Committee on Illegal Mining inaugurated district committees against illegal mining for 9 districts, we're told, in the Eastern region, and that's a good thing about it. But as far as we're concerned, we'll see how that goes on many of the issues. So let's see how it goes for all the things that we're talking about. Mama?
I'm just reading a very heartbreaking story in the Finder newspaper about a 41-year-old woman, pregnant, 6 months pregnant, who was killed instantly by a truck that had lost control at a certain junction somewhere in Escado. And she was a toll collector sitting under a tree. She wasn't in the way of the vehicle in any way, but for the fact that it lost control, it just killed her instantly. Very, very heartbreaking. That story is in the tragic. Finder. Yeah, so let's look at the other headlines on the front page of the Finder newspaper this morning. 592.7 million Ghana cedis claims thrown out. So Auditor General indicts Ministry of Roads and Highways. Government to recover 43.1 million Ghana cedis paid without supporting documents. And there's the Director General, the Auditor General, Daniel Yao Domolovo, on the front page of the paper, coming along with this headline. And we haven't lost control of Ghana's security. That's our Interior Minister, Ambrose Derry, assuring or reassuring the people of Ghana. Cop dies in accident while conveying cops to hospital. Another bizarre one. 3 cops held hostage at Nkrofo Palace. That's certainly of interest. Story says that 3 police officers came under attack by irate youth of Nkrofo in Takrade when they went there to maintain law and order. So the incident occurred on January 21, 2018 or 2017? Because the paper is reporting 2017 at about 2:30 p.m. When the regents of Nkrofo, a suburb in Takrade, Harry Techimeson, met stakeholders in the traditional area to discuss issues affecting traditional governance in the area. The police were at the chief's palace to enforce law and order following the tension that heralded the discussions, with some people subsequently had to be rescued. So details of that, how police officers were held hostage at a palace, Nkrofo Palace, in the Western region. Very interesting. You can read all about it in the Finder newspaper. I think that will be it. There are other stories, though, well captured in the paper today, Roland.
All right, so let's look at the Daily Guide newspaper. It has on the front page, Cops Murder, the inside story, IGP summoned, and you have a picture of the late Chief Inspector Emmanuel Ashlevi, and story on page 3 of the paper says that details are now emerging from last Sunday dawn attack on policemen at the Kwabenya police station by 6 armed men, which led to the killing of a police officer and the freeing of 7 suspects who were in custody. And we're told the information reaching Daily Guide indicates that the slain officer, Chief Inspector Emmanuel Ashlevi, was marched from his car to the police station before he was shot at close range. Police sources have indicated that the Inspector Ashlevi, officer in charge of Atomic Hill Police Station, who was the monitoring officer for the district that night, was shot in the buttocks by 3 suspected armed robbers who were hiding near the police station. Well, so you have to get to the Daily Guide inside pages to get the details. It's a very... Just think about it. Yeah, we need to take action against some of these things when they happen. So if you don't, it gives indication that, Charlie, they can go scot-free on whatever they do to arms people. Well, Iyoko denies EC's story, and we know that there was a story that was flying around or being speculated or published in the media about Iyoko hadn't concluded investigations.
Well, was the story carried by the same paper that you're looking at today, the Daily Guide?
But also published around. So it says Iyoko denies EC's story. And
so Iyoko, the countdown is on. You're 14 days.
And it says Iyoko, the Economic and Organized Crime Office yesterday issued a statement denying a publication in the Daily Guide in the matter of some top officers accused of misappropriation. And it just shows that the Daily Guide did poor work. Didn't cross-check its facts. Iyoko,
could it be that, or Iyoko is simply just denying because it doesn't sound favorable to them? Because I think the story yesterday was that they had cleared 3 EC personnel
but that was not an official communication from the Iyoko.
They said it was some document that they had cited from the AG's office, something of the sort. And we're waiting to see. Me, I'm curious. I want to know after the 14 days what Iyoko would do.
You see, huh?
Yeah. I just want to know. So.
Well, let's see. So we have other stories. First Sky rejoices and no board approval for $4 million NCA deal. Lawyer insists. There's a whole lot of issues going on. But let's go to the center spread. And just yesterday morning, legendary Hugh Masekela, the South African, died at 78. I remember I seen him a couple of times in Accra. One time I saw him, I was going to work and he was jogging just around the Roman Ridge area. I think he had come in for a show or so. Was having his morning exercises. May so rest in peace. Had good music.
That's a big heavy blow.
But
he, you know, he had prostate cancer. He battled with it for 10 years.
Okay, so other stories also on the center spread. Feminism is not a license to hate men. Anita Eskin.
I agree.
And then we also have the...
Even though some people use it as such.
Well, I mean, what is right is right. Whether you're a man or you're a woman, so... sometimes, you know, there's a certain thin line between that. In trying to say that you hate men just because you're a feminist. Because there could be a certain thing like for people to misinterpret that to mean that you hate men.
But you should never hate a man.
Well, true.
Also
to the extremities, people's experiences, especially those who are feminists, perhaps also put them in a certain position to always be very antagonistic towards their...
You may have had an experience with a certain man or certain men, but you can box all of them
together.
Exactly.
You shouldn't.
You have to deal with what you're presented with at each time. I know it's easy to cross over and, you know, But I think also that sometimes, especially men, they misinterpret some of these advocates.
It's also because of the stance that many of the feminists take. Sometimes it's to the extreme, but it's also because they are not used to that kind of posture from women. But I believe that, well, feminism is good because if you have one side of the human race or human species always discriminated against in society, then we need to make sure equality becomes the order of the day.
I think one of the things that I strongly support is that you and I do the same job, and I will totally disagree if you were paid a lot more than I am.
Well,
and I think that's one of the one of the things that's happening elsewhere, that we probably instead of some of the petty things that we say equality, we should
get
speak strongly on equality in terms of pay for the same work, whether you're a man or woman, because we all wake up at dawn, we all have you know the same responsibilities.
I agree. I agree.
Okay, now back to what's in the paper.
I was almost a feminist talking there. And now let's go. The Shape of Water leads 2018 Oscar nominations. I haven't watched the trailer yet, but you know the Oscars, sometimes the highest grossing movies don't always make the Oscars. But we've had Dunkirk gross well, was fairly okay. It had still Spielberg.
So you know Oscar So White last year, you remember? that whole how do I call it?
The buzz about
the fact that minority groups, blacks and women.
2 Oscars ago.
Was it 2 Oscars ago? Or was last year? Okay. Last year, I think that was when we themed it Oscar So White. This time around,
I think that was 2 Oscars ago.
Yeah, was it already? Yeah, all right. So there's been a little improvement.
Yes.
Even though, so now we're told that they've nominated quite a good number of men and women.
Because after that event, we had
black people.
We had La La Land and a couple of them thereafter.
Yeah. So well, I listened to a certain review yesterday. I think it was on CNN, and it will be tighter this year because it's not so clear. For Best Picture, for instance, quite a good number of movies have been nominated.
Does this movie, if 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing?
Yeah, you've seen it?
I've watched the trailer and I've read the reviews.
Yeah.
It's awesome. It's about a lady, but this one not raised white, of course, mainly. And I think, was it her son or someone like that was murdered, and she felt the police were not doing enough. So she went to put billboards when you're making entry into her town, and was accosting the police. It had great reviews, and the trailer was nice. So I'm thinking that should get some great nominations. So we have a couple of them, the posts, and Call Me By My Name, etc. The post is a and then Call Me By My Name is a gay romance, though. So, you know, all the things that have been happening now. All right, so that'll be it.
Okay.
Okay, and then there's another one also in the center spread. The news one pull out. Don Little, you know him? I'm told he's an actor. He spoke to Adum TV and said that my mom who keeps chasing women away. And I'm sure he's
what?
I'm
Why?
sure he's an Aki and a Popol type.
Why? Is it too small? Is it too big? Like, I don't know how. You're not telling us the rest of the story, are you?
No.
Okay, that's it. If it was something that Donald Trump had said, you would have.
Yeah, a lot of things
Donald
Trump is saying.
I want to know, why would you say that? Like, you keep chasing the women away. Like, does it perform well or what?
Donald Trump though. So we don't know whether he'll be appearing before the Senate committee that's investigating.
That's also the talks.
All the issues about the Russian involvement in the last presidential elections that took place in 2016. So, like this.
All right, so that last hardcore paper we'll do is the Daily Dispatch newspaper, Roland.
Yeah,
you've got it.
I want us to do a daily, but let's go to the Herald. It's been we don't review the Herald very often. So the Herald has a story. Kenny Japan prevented from seeing Bawumia in London as anxiety grips MPP both home and abroad. And then it says, the story says, Kennedy Ohine Japan's hope of meeting and wishing his party colleague and Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia speedy recovery was over the weekend dashed as he was prevented from seeing him. And the paper says the Herald is informed that Mr. Japan, who was in London to attend a memorial service of one Joseph Ayiankra, father to Ray Ankra, the financial secretary of the New Patriotic Party in the UK, tried to see the vice president but was not allowed. An angry Kenny Japan expressed his displeasure to some of his party executives based in the UK over the matter. And we're told that other stories are in there.
Well, the reason, one of the reasons he is in the UK is so people don't disturb him because he needs to rest and recover. So I'm not surprised that, so it means that it really doesn't matter who you are.
So it means that the way Kenny Japan speaks,
I don't think so necessarily. I just want to believe. So that kind of like, it buttresses the points. Reason he was taken out of Ghana. It's just so people don't visit him.
People like Kenny Japan don't go.
You are putting it that way. Let me stick to what we're doing here. Let's do some messages before we go online. So Kwesi Imboga says the secret is to cut down on needless expenditure in December. So we're looking at how, to survive the rest of January. But Kwesi, what you're telling us we should have done before getting into January. The question is, what if you did not and you're in the position that you're in right now? How do you survive? So let's see if we get some ways around this. It looks as if January has 79 days. Please tell whoever is holding the month to leave it. That's Amofa Eric in Akim Akroso in the Eastern region. That's where my husband comes from, Akroso. So, you know, you're my relative. Yeah. This one says, to survive the rest of January. No, no, actually. It is not.
Because you go through Odan.
No, you go through Asamankese.
Asaman.
You wouldn't get to Odan. Yeah. Jolalian Nyasa says, to survive the rest of January, the only option is fasting. Good morning to you both. Well, for how long can you fast?
No, it's not about the food.
You can do 6 to 6. It's all about the food, Masa. Right. It's about the food. It's about the fuel if you drive.
Yes, about the expenditure. But by the way, you know fuel has increased.
Yeah, it's more expensive. So it's about everything. You buy 100 Ghana and before you know, Charlie, it's nowhere. And this one says, Roland, for me, my pastor helped me by declaring 21 days fasting. Wise in Kratchi, that's a very wise.
I think they are only relating
something to do.
I think they are only relating it to your tip about the food and etc. But the thing is, Roland, we're talking about general expenditure.
Food, if somebody feeds you, if somebody gives you only food, that person has saved you.
I do understand, but
food is expensive. Food means a lot. Can you survive without food?
No, nobody can.
Yeah. This one says, some banks have started paying January salary, so no cause for alarm. Joshua Kwabena sending us this message. Good for you. Mohammed Rahman in Gushegu says, I want to pray and wish our second gentleman of the land. Okay, so this is a message, speedy recovery to the vice president. Essentially, that's what you are saying. This says, borrowing is not good. Bugri Alidu from Banga. So Bugri, yes, we know that borrowing, borrowing in general, you can't say that borrowing is bad. It depends on what you're using it for. Yeah, so this one says, I thank God Roland is back, from Fire Officer Henry Owusu in the Upper West Regional Headquarters in Wa. Thank you for that message. Let's do online. We'll come back and read some more of your messages.
So we have a number of stories on myjoyonline.com about you.
New York City street to be renamed after Ghanaian-born soldier who died saving lives in Bronx fire. So plans are in motion to name what's that? Is it a borough street?
Oh, this is just
for the heroic army private
things against Donald Trump,
saving lives in the inferno. But he did an incredible job. He didn't think about himself. He wasn't in any way at risk, but he decided to risk his own life and go to the upper floors to save. Not one, two. I think he went for the third time or the fourth time. That's when he did not return. So he absolutely deserves this. Yesterday on AM Talk, Roland, we're talking, it was Neil Ante van der Poy and Chiramanting Ejako. And part of the conversation, we're talking about what to do to honor the late KB Asante. And I brought in the conversation, the issue about Hilary Man and how I heard his children say that the young people of today don't even know who he was. And what
we seem to have just relegated him to history.
Exactly. So yeah, absolutely good. Let's move on. Let's see what other stories are on our page this morning, myjoyonline.com. Police scheduled January 29 for next phase of 2017-2018 recruitment exercise, though. So the Public Affairs Directorate of the Ghana Police Service has announced that the police recruitment exercise continues with body selection and physical screening from January 29 at all screening centers. So if you started the process and you're billed to go into the second phase, just remember they've given a date and you might want to check where you get your information from for the rest of the details of the exercise. We still don't understand why they need such few numbers and they open it for a whole lot of people to apply when they know they're just going to zero it down to just about a few people. We will not shield anybody. Upper West NPP tells violent supporters. So that branch of the NPP has condemned the attack and destruction of properties owned by the municipal chief executive Tahiru Isahaku Momen. And this comes back. We haven't dealt with the situation of vigilantism, this situation of people thinking that they can do whatever it is they like.
Attack on security.
Exactly. We have not dealt with it. and it will come back. It will continue to come back and haunt us. It will come back in bigger folds if we don't deal with it.
Somebody who needs to get involved should not be an MC. We need a minister who should be involved, perhaps. Then somebody will take a serious action.
The impunity.
If a minister is beaten to pulp by his own supporters, you learn.
The impunity. If it happens to the MC and it's not taken care of, Roland, yes, like you said, it will come.
It went to the court.
It will come to It will come to the MP. It will go to the minister. Yo, we are here. Let's not deal with it. Let's move on. Minority MPs demand justification for Gitmo Tuesday in Ghana after January 6th deadline. It's one sentiment that a lot of us share. On what basis are they still in our country? What's the way forward? Is it so hard to handle it? Executive, decide what you want to do. You know, the interesting thing is when they were in opposition, they knew what they would have done if they were in power. But it's interesting, now you have the power. You have the power to do whatever it is you want to do, and you can't simply do it. Just extend it. That's what you would do. So do it. I would say
the political parties know how to rule well when they're in opposition.
Massive.
They know how to do the probing, call who becomes a criminal, what deal is bad. But when they're in power, nothing is ever wrong. But shouldn't
somebody also go to courts?
Well,
somebody should go to courts.
Okay, we'll see how it goes.
All right, let's move on quickly. Benedict is here already. Tuesday briefing, 14-year-old defiled as Iyoko allegedly clears embattled deputy EC. Well, they disagree to the second bit of this, so let's move on. It's just a brief of the things that happened on Tuesday, I guess. Police will use reasonable force to confront, apprehend criminals. That's according to Interior Minister Ambrose Derry, and he should have watched or listened or been here yesterday, Roland, when Neil Antivandepoy thought that, listen, we should face them head on. We're pampering them too much.
I love Kofi Boy. Is it Kofi Boy?
Yes. Yeah. Where is he?
That guy would have gone to town.
Where is he?
I think he's now
training school or what?
He's now at PIPS.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Is it police intelligent professional training?
I just know that's where you take them when you feel that.
And do you know where PIPS is?
Yeah.
It's
unbelievable. Like, how can that? How can it be there? So UG Medical Center, IET, that's Professor IET fights back, calls Deputy Minister illiterates. So you know, there's a whole back and forth with the medical facility that's been completed. Well, that one too is a tussle. Depending on who is speaking, there's a lot more work to do. Depending on who is speaking.
When the MPP was in opposition, they said it was not a government facility, and that the University of Ghana contracted their own, or whatever it is, belongs to the University of Ghana. They are in power now. They said it belongs to government. Because, you know, the Mahama-led administration was taking credit for it, that they helped him.
But, you know, in this country, I think we joke too much.
Too much.
We joke too much.
Joke.
This whole public display, Ministry of Health, University of Ghana officials. Listen, this is not the first time that the University of Ghana, is having a facility on its campus. And if they took money or government guaranteed for them to build a facility, and there's already a memorandum of understanding, there's already a contract and agreements which way it would go. All the things that they are doing is just public display. It's really doesn't make sense. It doesn't.
We should be happy that we have a facility, state-of-the-art facility.
People are dying every day. We've got a world-class facility.
Have you watched some of the pictures?
Yeah, I have.
That's amazing.
There's a massive building.
Amazing.
Fix the problem.
I don't know we have such facilities.
I think we've gotten the. We don't need our leaders to come and be displaying contracts and what's in it, and us going back and forth. We don't need that. We don't need that.
And there's even another laughable story that's ongoing.
Yeah.
About smuggled Benz and other luxurious vehicles that are to the tune of in excess $3 million. And the MC of where? Is it Akachi or where?
No, is it Keta?
No, is it Ketu?
Ketu, no, not Ketu South or Ketu North, one of those.
One of them is saying that he didn't know
Well, because he explains that's his official residence, but he
didn't know.
Hang on, but he hasn't moved in yet, and they were doing renovations. In fact, they finished with the first part, the phase 1 of the renovation. They are into the second part.
But usually
he's still living in his private residence.
Okay.
Yes, so he doesn't officially live in this place. But it's so weird. How did all these vehicles, like, how did it get there?
Not any household except the MC or government facility. That's enough.
It is still the concerts that's some people think that we're children. Yeah.
Now say yeah. We'll talk and question.
Well, anyway. I think that they know that. Oh, we'll talk about it. Media, they'll talk about it. After 2 weeks, and then they'll move on to something else.
Yeah, true.
I think that's why they're doing this. That's why they keep doing this. Yeah. Okay, so I think do we still have a little time? Let's do City FM Online, Roland.
Okay, so we have City FM, we have cash for seat committee deadline extended to January 31. Trainee nurses to be paid allowances, and apparently they haven't been paid. Cash for seat committee secretly interrogates expatriates.
That's it.
And then, let's go. The Interior Minister is trying to assure us that we haven't lost control of Ghana's security. I think we have.
At this point, with what happened...
We have. Because, there are many of such police posts that don't have the right security. And so, the police, I think they are left to the mercy of everybody. Okay, so this is it. When most Africans, at least, are hating Trump for his comments, you were Museveni, who's the Ugandan and he's one of the
president.
reasons why the continent is called a shithole. But he says he loves the man who said, or called the continent a shithole.
How long has he been in power again?
I think 30 years. No, some 30-something years.
Well, maybe his country is like America, or maybe...
Oh, really? Uganda?
I'm just saying. I'm thinking.
Uganda?
Okay, anyway. All right, there are other stories there. South Africa's father of jazz died, and that's one that, we cannot forget. Okay, so there are other stories. At least 27 dead in twin Benghazi blast. The car bombs kill at least 27 and injure more.
And this was tragic.
Near a mosque in the
when the first one happened, when the first one went off, the 8 people came and they said a second one could go off in 50 minutes time, then the second one went off.
Wow.
And those who were helping the first
It's all of these things that make some of us miss Gaddafi. Yeah. So let's do a few of your messages just before we run off. Abdullah Abdul Razak, General in Tamale, sending us a message. Okay, so thank you very much. Let's quickly see. We've got loads of your messages. This one says, why is Kenya Japan being prevented? Asemo, well wish VIP speedy recovery. That's Kanga Tando in the Elembele district, sending us this message this morning. This one says January is beginning. It is meant to be hard, and as month goes on, it reduces. Okay, this one says, stay fasted. Didn't include your name. This one says, we're happy seeing you back on the screen again, Roland. That's from Celestine in Herald. And I must say that quite a good number of you are sending welcome back. Welcome back to Roland.
How are you?
You've been missed. Here's the last one. We'll come back with more of your messages later. This one says January is more of a cross-country. Students are crying, parents are weeping. Now Mama V and Roland too are gnashing their teeth. Hey, January. That's how the message is.
I love the rhyme.
Charlie, we're all feeling it, but keep the messages
crying and weeping, and we are gnashing our teeth. I love this.
We thank you for all the messages. Please keep them coming through.